Welcome to the Grey County Joint Accessibility meeting. It's January 21st, 2021, which is hard to believe. And it's time for elections again already. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. And the first thing on our agenda is the election of the chair and vice chair for 2021. So I'm looking for someone to nominate a voting member for the chair for 2021. Just raise your hand, or Christina, you're on mute.
I'm doing it on my phone so that I can look at the agenda on my computer. But I'm still voting Dwight, which is what I do every single time. Dwight, it's you, man.
Okay, so we have a mover for Dwight Burley. Do I have a seconder?
Can anybody hear me or see me? Hello?
I can hear you, Claudia.
Oh, finally. I've been trying and trying and trying, and I got no answer from nobody so far. I don't even know if I can't see myself. I have no idea what's going on.
Oh, we can hear you, yes.
Okay, I can second.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any other nominations for chair of the Accessibility Committee? Catherine, I see your hand.
Yeah, the only thing I had intended to say was, I would have been more than willing to continue on for another year, because I really feel that with COVID-19, we really didn't have an opportunity in our, more in particular in my role as chair, to really do much. So I feel that, unfortunately with COVID, I really didn't get much of a chance to really be the chair. I think I was chair at one meeting or 1.5 or 2 meetings maybe at the most. So I just wanted to put that out there, just to, make the comment that if the rest of the committee was willing, I'd be more than willing to stay on for another year, but that's up to them.
All right,
Thank you
very much. 2020 was certainly a challenging year for meetings for a lot of committees. So do I have any other nominations for chair? Okay, seeing none. Can I have a motion to close nominations then? Christina, thank you. Councillor Burley, are you willing to be the chair of the committee for 2021?
Yes, I am willing to be the chair for 2021, but at this time I think I will withdraw my name and let Catherine be the chair for another year.
Okay, so I do need a mover and a seconder to nominate Catherine Schultz for the chair for 2021. Councillor Burley, would you like to move that? Okay, thank you. And I see Claudia's hand up as a seconder.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other nominations for chair?
I just want to say, Dwight, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. That's very generous of you.
All right. Can I have a motion to close the nominations then for chair? Councillor Burley, thank you. Catherine, I'm assuming you will take the chairmanship on for 2021?
Yes, graciously, I would definitely do it.
Thank you very much. So now I'm looking for nominations for the vice chair for 2021.
So I'd like to nominate Dwight.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder for that?
I would second that. It's Andy.
Thank you very much, Andy. Any other nominations for vice chair? Can I have a motion to close the nominations for vice chair? Councillor Burley, thank you very much. And Councillor Burley, are you willing to be the vice chair?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the end of my role. Catherine, I will turn it over to you. Kathy will walk you through some of the who's speaking for a number of different items here, and I'll hand the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year. I cannot believe that we are still in COVID-19, which I'm sure all of us appreciate that. I know where I work here at Beaver Valley Outreach, we've certainly had a lot of changes over the past year and, struggles with it. But, we're hopeful that this will soon come to an end at some point in 2021. But anyway, welcome to our meeting. And I guess the next item would be a declaration of interest. Does that require a motion, I guess? No.
No, it doesn't. It's just, it's basically if any of the members have any financial or pecuniary interest in any of the items related to the agenda.
So I assume that if anybody does, they would put their hand up. Okay. And then I guess if we move forward to item number 4, the site plan reviews. So the first one is the Grey Roots Museum and Archives store, which is a new build at Morriston Village.
It's where? Could you repeat that, please? It's where?
At Morriston Village.
Okay.
It's at the Grey Roots Museum, Claudia.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Hi, I can, would you like me to describe the general store plan?
Absolutely, thank you. I wasn't
Hi.
sure who was going to be presenting. Thank you.
No problem. So I'm Jill. Yeah,
Can you introduce the Grey Roots staff?
absolutely. I'll start with myself. I'm sort of a new character. My name's Jill Patterson, and I'm the new manager at Grey Roots Museum and Archives. I started in April and have had a great summer with the team up there. I will go around the room and introduce Sim Salata, who is our curator at Grey Roots, and Ted Noble, who is our facilities manager at Grey Roots. Also on our team is Aaron Whitney, who's helping, though he's at the county admin building, most of the time he's helping us draft some working drawings for the general store, and is helping us out in case there are any questions about specific materials or dimensions or what have you. Okay, so this general store build is part of the master plan for Grey Roots, which has a number of phases, which started in 2004 when the new building and site was created where we are now. This is part of phase 4, which includes the new build of a number of replica buildings. So this staff have determined that the general store is the most appropriate to move forward. It is, I can describe the dimensions, and if you have further questions, I'll pass over to Ted and Aaron, who are much more technically savvy on this front than me. So the general store will be a 23-foot by 38-foot story and a half stud framed clapboard sided and gable roof structure with a single story 23 by 14 wood framed board and batten addition in the back of the building and a wooden boardwalk at the front. The building will function for demonstration purposes as a historic general store from about the 1920s period, which fits with the larger interpretive plan for the village. It will include special event demonstrations and educational program activities, and we are exploring the feasibility of selling local products from this general store and maybe some select food items that could add to the experience at Morriston Heritage Village. I can let you know the new build of the replica general store will enrich the Grey Roots experience for visitors and residents, increase the number of artifacts we're able to display, which Sim is very happy about, attract new audiences, encourage visitors to stay longer, and maximize their repeat attendance. All the recommendations identified in the Grey Routes from this, all the recommendations for this general store come from the 2013 business plan and repeated in the 2016 strategic plan. What else can I tell you? There's site servicing is already in place, which includes natural gas and electrical, and the building will not have domestic water or septic. Accessible restrooms are provided in the main building at Grey Routes. We've, I know, Kathy, we included some images of the general store, sort of some rough drawings. Are we able to share those?
Tara, can you share your screen and share that?
Yep, I can. Just give me a moment.
And then while Tara's getting that underway, I just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak when they have something to say. So I wonder if we can be a little bit informal, and if you can't get to your raise your hand button or wave your hand and nobody recognizes you, I think it's probably okay if we just say, hey, I've got something to say, if that's all right with everybody.
So yeah, I would like to ask a question. I don't know how many people will be employed in that building, but to see it go up without any washroom facilities, I think is problematic. Not just for visitors, but also for the employees. Like, where do you go to wash your hands? Where do you go to blow your nose? Where do you go, like, if you really, really have to go and you're the only employee in the building, then you have to run over to the museum to go to the bathroom. I just think it's problematic to have a public place without public washroom access.
There are washrooms available for staff and
Okay.
volunteers in the schoolhouse building, which is quite close. Unfortunately, they're not accessible, so they wouldn't be public. And occasionally we have temporary portable washrooms in the village to make the washroom facilities more accessible to some of our more elderly volunteers.
Sorry, can I chime in? There is a ramp up the back to the schoolhouse, and the washroom, I believe, is accessible, Jill.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, Sim. I'm so new. There are washrooms in the basement that are mostly for staff, but yes, there is an accessible washroom in the schoolhouse and a ramp that goes to the first floor.
Okay, because otherwise you wouldn't even be able to give a job to a person with a disability if you don't have accessible washrooms, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a problem with employment even.
So I'm going to chime in here now too. Claudia, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what the Morriston Heritage Village looks like.
Not very much, no.
Okay, so it's basically a mock town, but it's on a very small scale. And so the buildings are very close together, and it's kind of like, well, somebody from Grey Routes maybe can help me out here.
Somebody screen share a picture from the website?
Sure, that's a good idea.
I'm gonna go ahead and screen share if that's okay with folks.
Sure.
And then we also have one of our members who has a challenge with visuals. So if you can be very descriptive verbally, that would be helpful also.
Okay, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can.
So Morriston Heritage Village is a oh, Ted, correct me if I'm wrong. It's 12 buildings on 10 acres.
That's correct.
And they range from 19th century one-room log cabins to larger two-story 1920s era farmhouses. Some are period buildings from the actual period, and some are recreations of those same structures. There's also a 1920s garage. There's a large barn structure. There is a more modern agriculture demonstration building that houses a lot of farm equipment and vehicles and that kind of thing that need a bit more space. There's a replica sawmill that's still functional. There's a bandstand, and basically it's almost like a park setting. There's great landscaping and trees, and it's a nice green space and surrounded by farmers' fields. It's a short walk around from the main Grey Roots Museum building.
So now I have a question, if that's okay. Why isn't there, let's say, a general washroom building kind of sort of in the middle that's accessible to anybody from all the different paths? Just like a washroom building. Wouldn't that be a good idea? I don't know. Like 10 acres, I can't quite imagine, like when you're, let's say, at the bandstand, how far do you have to walk to the closest washroom?
I would say it's about 5 minutes to the Grey Roots main museum building.
Uh-huh.
Can you
Yeah,
maybe,
that's not bad. And what are the paths made from? Are they okay with wheelchairs and stuff?
yes. Oh, go ahead, Jill.
No, you go ahead, Sam.
Oh, and actually we do provide 2 motorized scooters that visitors are able to use during their visit to both the museum and to Morriston Heritage Village. Maybe Jill, if you could put your cursor on the schoolhouse building. Yes, there we go. That's where the other, except the washroom is located. So there is a washroom both in the museum and on the far side of the site. There's the main museum there.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
that makes sense.
And actually we did number of years ago, probably a good 8 years ago when we were building, can't remember which building it was, but we did look into central wheelchair accessible washroom building, which we would have board and battened and put in the center of the site. But I think with change in management and just roll on over the years, it never really came to fruition.
Okay, I see. It might seem strange that I'm focused on the washrooms, but I guess it's the COVID getting to me. Wash your hands.
I don't know if Ted has any further details on that, but I do remember it being discussed.
Yeah, there is future plans in different phases going forward to add a railway station, which will also house 2 accessible washrooms in it. And then further down the road, and which would be right across from the general store, would be a coach house or an inn, which would also have accessible washrooms. So this has already been previously engineered as far as our septic capacity goes. So future washrooms are coming.
All right, thank you.
Perhaps a point too,
Maybe
I'm
now
sorry.
we can have,
It's Andy, just, it is open just seasonally too, is it not?
Yes, typically it's open July and August, the village itself, and some special event weekends and evenings,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But usually it's summer months that it's open.
Yeah, I've been there a number of times. It's lovely.
Yes, it is.
Tara, are you okay to share your screen with the other documents from the general store?
Yes, I'll bring those up to my house. So I'll just start at the beginning, and then Jill, if you want to let me know where to scroll, I can do that.
So
Sorry, everybody, I have way too many things open.
yeah.
So is this part of the Grey Roots Museum in Flesherton or the Grey Roots Museum in Owen Sound in some way?
Yes, this is,
There's a connection, right?
yeah, this Morriston Heritage Village is basically right next to the Grey Roots building on County Road 18, just outside of Owen Sound.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but it's part of Grey Roots. It's not a separate entity, it's part of the museum itself.
And that little place in Flesherton is also called Grey Roots Museum, isn't it? Is that part of it? That's where
It's
they
South Grey.
Yeah.
South Grey Museum. Yeah.
South Grey, okay. They're not connected?
No.
Okay. I'm asking out of curiosity because I usually participate in the Flesherton Fling as a performing poet.
Amazing.
And yeah, and I thought if they are connected, maybe the poets could mosey over to the other side too at one point.
Yes, we welcome poets.
Oh, good.
So this is the site plan, just to give you a sense of the location of where the proposed general store will go. You'll see that the sort of perforated lines are proposed structures that are not there yet. And then so you'll see that this sort of blacksmith shop is to the left of the circled general store. It's really central in the village. I don't know if, Ted, did you want to add anything to that description?
So right across the road to the left of the cenotaph is where the future inn, which will have washrooms. And then if we are just to the upper right of the general store location, there's also, that's where the railway station is, between kind of the Merchant Row area there and the schoolhouse.
And then this is a drawing that shows the heights and widths of the dimensions of the building, just like sort of facing the front door.
Looks like a classic building, eh? Very classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
Almost like you see in cowboy and western movies, eh?
Yeah, that's right. We need those swinging doors.
Yeah, I like that look. It's nice.
Is this something that?
Okay. Whoa, where are we?
That looks like the next topic.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I was
Scroll
gonna say,
back.
very detailed for the.
So just to be a bit more descriptive about the general store, if you can picture the front have large display windows. There's a sort of boardwalk along the front that's covered, kind of a big wide boardwalk veranda kind of thing that's at ground level. There are large doors that open into a pretty wide space where we'll have our reproduced general store displays. And we're not planning to make the second floor publicly accessible. That's more sort of a storage spot for staff and at the museum. And then there is also a back space that is planned as a sort of interpretive way to talk about sort of secondary businesses that might have been run out of a general store. I believe that's the plan. Sim, you're welcome to correct me. I know we're still fleshing a lot of that out.
Oh, is that the gambling hub in the back then? The illegal?
The speakeasy.
We haven't,
A lot of the general stores used to also be the post office.
That's right, yeah.
We haven't made a decision on what that secondary business could be, but it could be something like a tinsmith or a harness maker or a furniture builder. It could be a post office. It's not in the plan yet.
So now I have another question, please. When I look at the image of the general store, it looks like there is a lip to get onto the boardwalk. Does it need a wheelchair ramp, or how do people with, like, I'm working for an elderly couple where she can only walk with a walker or with 2 canes. Would she be able to easily walk in and out of there?
Yeah, I think the intention on our end is that we create ramps so that it is, even a lip is mitigated by some kind of ramp.
I think that would be good, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Are there any other questions, or Ted or Sim, is there anything else you wanted to make sure we described?
We've covered everything, unless Aaron has something he wants to add.
Just for the ramp, is it going to be a structure, or would we do a landscape ramp, like slope the grade up to it?
That's
I guess
a nice
is a question
idea.
for the community. That way the building still stays period correct, but you're just doing the walkway up to it.
Oh, I'm open to whatever we think is the best and most accessible and will work and, you know, be functional. But that sounds like a good idea.
However, that would mean natural material, which might be hard to negotiate on a wheelchair. That's the only downside to that, maybe.
But
we can probably add a wooden lip to mitigate any type of tiny little step there may be. So we can definitely accommodate accessibility, so anybody can get in.
Yeah, it shouldn't be hard, eh?
No.
And I was just assuming that, you know, if we did do landscaping up to the building or up to the ramp, that the composition of that would be the same as any of the other walkways at the village anyway, right?
It should
That's
be.
correct.
Which would be wheelchair accessible. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think either or. It's a beautiful building.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
On paper. Yeah. I love general stores, so you've got me.
Oh, I'm wishing that there's going to be ice cream or something really good.
Yeah. I was with one of these old villages once, and they did the ice cream by hand, almost like churning butter, right? In a bucket with the ice, and yeah, it was delicious. Kids love that.
Yeah. It's good exercise, and then you can get all the calories back.
Oh, actually, that reminds me, I've seen yesterday a little clip of somebody who built a machine where kids can make their own ice cream or shaved ice cone or something, and they have to run in a wheel, like a hamster wheel, to make it come out of the machine. It's absolutely
There you go.
Brilliant.
Kathy, did you have something?
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to mention that we're going to need to have some kind of a resolution that Tara can help us with for both of these items, for the general store and for the car wash in Hanover.
Yeah.
I have it drafted to, as long as there aren't any issues with the committees, from the committee's perspective, to adopt or support in principle both of them at the same time. So if you, at the end of the next item, we can look at that motion if you like.
Okay, thanks, Tara. Okay, so then do we want to move forward then? I guess we can with the gas bar and car wash in Hanover. Thank you, Jill, for your presentation.
You're welcome. Thanks to everyone in the committee.
When's it going to be ready?
We hope to break ground in March, or in May, sorry.
Awesome.
I just have a quick thing about the general store is I know the inside becomes a little bit of a, like a whole different layout accessibility issue, just as long as, you know, the aisles aren't too close together and that kind of thing. My daughter's maybe taken out a few racks that with the back of her wheelchair. We call her Fanny. Has anybody seen the movie Robots? Because there's that lady, she takes all the robots in and she's a snail, and every time she turns, she takes everything out with her back end. So that has happened maybe a time or two, but as long as your aisles are good and wide and, you know, that they can fit and properly turn, I guess, then all is well.
Yeah, I know Ted and Sim and Aaron are all conscientious of that, making sure that there's that kind of space for someone to turn.
Perfect.
It's a good point, Christina, because now with the COVID crisis, you can see that stores are not built for space. They're built for cramming it in.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get your 2 meters anywhere. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, thanks for that, Christina. So I'm assuming that, Aaron, are you speaking to the gas bar and car wash? No?
That's coming from the town of Hanover. So Brenda Getz has graciously agreed to join us to walk us through the site plan a little bit. I am definitely no expert in reading these things, so thank you very much, Brenda. And then if anybody has any questions or suggestions, we're happy to hear it.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have to apologize because I'm not familiar with the format here, so I'll just carry on. Got a copy of the site plan in front of me. I'm assuming it's been circulated to yourselves. So what this site is at 167 10th Street. The application came forward to our department in May, and on, sorry, I'm flipping through a few different documents here. On December 21st, Hanover Council passed the bylaw to enter into the site plan agreement to construct a gas bar, convenience store, and a drive-through car wash. So as you can see from the site plan, the convenience store is 1,645 square feet, and attached to it will be a proposed car wash that measures 1,348 square feet. There'll be 6 gas pumps in total, 3 stations or pumps with 6 stations, I guess. So I'm just going to reiterate what Mr. Tedford has provided me, that this site plan conforms to 3.8 of the Ontario Building Code with interior accessible washrooms, ramps, and access doors. The exterior has accessible parking and sidewalks meeting the CSA standards. There is currently no standards for the car wash. However, a driver can complete the car wash procedure without leaving the vehicle. He has also asked if any committee members has any accessible information that could be applied to this site. He would graciously look for any feedback that you can provide. Thank you.
And I've got a question already. Will there be an accessible electric car powering station too?
Not at this time, there isn't one proposed.
That's kind of sad because in a way gasoline is slowly going out and electric is coming in. So would there be a way to include that at all? Or
the town of Hanover does have 2 sites currently. One in the parking lot that's behind CIBC Bank and Rexall Drugstore, and there's also one that is attached to the fire hall, just located downtown. Typically, those sites are attached to buildings or in areas for which the vehicle owner can leave their car for half an hour to an hour or longer to charge, and either enter a restaurant or another facility nearby. So a gas station typically would be very quick service. You come in, you pump your gas, you use the convenience store, you go through the car wash, and then you move forward. So there is no plans currently for that feature to be added.
Okay. Yeah, the layout would have to be a little bit different, I guess. All right, thank you.
That's correct. Thank you.
And Andrew, you have a question?
Yes, well, actually two, because first off, what street is this on?
Andrew, it's located at 167 10th Street, and you live in Hanover, correct?
Yes, I do. What's it near?
Yes, it's at the west end of our main street. So when you're going towards Walkerton. And
Is it not? That's not the hotel parking lot, is it?
It's further west from the police station.
Yeah.
Currently, the site actually has a Tender Pizza and a vacant office building, and it's across from Riverside Towers. Are you familiar with that, where that is?
Yes, I'm familiar with Tender Pizza.
Okay.
Is there going to be a sidewalk into the store, convenience store?
There's currently a sidewalk along the street, and
But right inside, though.
there's a sidewalk that is surrounding the convenience store, and that will be accessible.
Glad about that, because the other location, convenience store that with it is not accessible.
Is that the new Esso station, Andrew?
Yeah, the convenience store down there is not accessible at all.
That's terrible.
The new Esso station does have the curbing actually is sloped to the asphalt, but only in one area.
Well, I could explain what happened. I might as well explain it. I know we're getting off topic, but it's good to know, I guess. But anyway, because I was trying to learn my way to get to Mr. Sub, and somewhere in there between my place, because I ride on 11th Avenue, somewhere between there, the sidewalk kind of stops when you turn right off of 5th Street or whatever, or Second Street or whatever, and there's no sidewalk in front or beside the building to get across beside Mr. Sub.
I believe the ramp area, Andrew, is directly in front of the doors. I don't believe there's a ramp at the end of the sidewalk to that would be the northeast side of the Esso station. Is that what you're referring to, Andrew?
Well, I was coming off of, because I came with somebody, because we walk in from 11th Avenue, and then one of those streets they turned down, and then whoever it was got me to cross the road, not a road somewhere, and right beside Subway. He come out of Subway, let's put it this way, and turn left, and then someone had me turning left again down beside the Subway. No, Mr. Sub, sorry.
Yes, you're on 11th Avenue at that point when you exit the Esso station. So is it actually on the sidewalk adjacent to the street, Andrew, or is it actually on the site where the Mr. Sub is located?
Actually on the site. I think it's on the site. You turn left again, then right away we say right next to the building is what I'm referring to, I guess.
Yes, you're right. Right next to the building, there would not be a slope to exit from the sidewalk, but I can mention that
because
to our works department.
C9B tried to look at it, and they said it was declared it unsafe for somebody like me to get there on my own.
Yeah, the only sloped area that I recall is right in front of the entrance doors. It slopes to the asphalt, which is the parking lot.
Yes.
Andrew, it's Melissa Hilgendorfer.
Yeah.
Is it most helpful for you to get into a building if there is say the sidewalk from the road, if that sidewalk extends all the way you know, along the edge of the parking lot,
Yeah,
right into the building.
like Mr. Sub, because that's all I pretty much have used so far.
Okay.
Would it be helpful? This is crazy idea. Would it be helpful if to get some feedback on C9B before we say anything more, or what?
Are you talking about the existing gas bar or for the new one?
Both, I guess.
So we can take a look on our side. Brenda and I can bring the information back to Dawn. The
Yeah.
one site that's completed, we can't make any promises there, but it's always good to hear your feedback and to bring it up, because otherwise we just don't know.
Yeah,
But we
yeah,
can also bring this point up to the developers of the new site as
yeah.
something that they may want to consider incorporating.
I just bring this point up now because so we don't make the same mistake again, type of thing.
For sure.
Good point, Andrew. Thank you. I do have I've got a question around the accessible parking space. I note on there, you know, I had to zoom in on it just to have a look at it, but it kind of lines up there. It looks to me like it's 5,421 meters or millimeters in width. But I see that it appears to be a curb cut at the top of the parking spot on I guess it's the sidewalk in front of the building. So my only question is, or my concern there is, with that accessible parking, it's certainly wide enough. The minimum width is 3,400 millimeters. It's coming in at 5,421. But it doesn't indicate here. Now, it may indicate in the finished plans that there's an access aisle adjacent, an access aisle within the parking space. It doesn't appear to do that or show that on the site plan. There's no indication of an access aisle.
No, I can see that on the site plan. So that could be something that I will bring forward to Mr.
Yeah.
Ted.
Yeah, because it's certainly wide enough, and it would still allow for a van. And the access aisle can be incorporated into the area where there would be a lift or a ramp coming off of the van. So that access aisle could be incorporated into the parking space to allow for that to happen. The other thing I would suggest would be to have a van accessible signage on the building in front of that space as well. That would indicate to anyone with a wheelchair accessible van that they can park there, and it is wide enough for them to you know, exit and enter the van safely. That was my only concern, was the parking.
Okay.
Because it's wide enough for that. Because with the minimum parking at 3,400 millimeters, minimum access aisles are at 1,500, and this is Ontario Aoda standard. It would bring it to 4,900 millimeters. So there's still a difference of 521 millimeters there. So it's plenty big enough for it to include an access aisle.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I did see Councillor Burley's hand up.
Oh, okay, thank you, because I can't see him. Thank you. Dwight, I'm sorry, I can't see you, so I didn't see your hand up.
It's probably a good thing you can't. Catherine, I'm just wondering, maybe for Jason, or if he's there, have the new building codes incorporated all impaired signage and such inside these new handicap washrooms from outside in?
It's
sorry, great we say we make handicap washrooms. It's great that we say we make we make handicap washrooms, but what I want to find out is, are we taking into account impaired people too that need to get into these washrooms? In other words, put in all the necessary staff that's required in order for them to be able to get to the washroom and use it. Like male, females, like is there braille signs or like, I don't know, I'm asking.
Are you asking me, Dwight, or Brenda?
I'm asking whoever wants to answer the question.
Oh, okay.
Whoever knows, I guess. Eh?
Well, I mean, certainly there's, as you said, there's the building code standard, which incorporates the, the built environment standard, which is the accessible standard for buildings. And those are, those are in effect. But I hear what you're saying, like I mean, there's always the minimum of what can be done, but then there's always the extra that can be done. And so I agree with you, like signage with braille on it, for people with visual impairments, is something I always highly recommended when I did site plan reviews before or audits of buildings. Also, to indicate outside of the building that the washrooms are accessible, is taking it a little bit of a step further, but you have a unique opportunity here. Hanover has a unique opportunity here with a brand new building that has yet to be built, to kind of do it, maybe even go that little bit of a step and go beyond the building code and the standard, and, make sure that these certain things, like even as I said with the parking, it's to do it and to do it right, and to, enhance those features, right?
It's just that the new building codes, they change every single day. They seem to be in the new building codes in 2021 are different. And I'm just wondering,
yeah,
Don or Aaron would be able to answer those questions. Have they incorporated these things like to do with handicap impaired? And I can't ask the question. I don't know.
Is Aaron still with us?
No, he's left the meeting now.
Oh, okay.
I would have a question if that's okay. And that question is for Catherine. How would you be able to indicate from the outside of a building to a blind person where the washrooms are and which one is for which gender? Would you put that maybe on the button that opens the door, that there would be braille on that? Or how would that logistically be possible?
It really isn't possible. I mean, signs on washrooms that have braille are only beneficial to people who can read braille, right?
Yes.
So something very, it's got to, I mean, really that's tactile. So they're really, I don't know. I mean, has anyone else come across that? Oh, hi, Sarah. Are you able to answer that? Hi, Sarah. I didn't know you were with us.
I'm with you. So this is Sarah Trainer from the town of the Blue Mountains. I don't know anything about the building code and what has been updated with regards to signage. I was thinking more that this aligns with the customer service standard and educating the business owner about the minimum requirements, and then how you can even enhance your customer service as it relates to the public, just to put yourself, that much forward as a business. I was thinking that when we were going back to the Grey Roots location too, and I actually checked on the website, they already have great accessibility sections so that people that are planning their visit to that facility, you can get a sense of what's accessible and what's not before you even arrive. But then the signage when you get there helps too. So that's kind of where I was thinking with this.
Yeah, great idea. Yeah, around the customer service standard. I like that. Christina, can you add to this?
Yeah, so not so much about the accessible standard, but we were talking, you guys were talking earlier about the getting in the building. And I understand where Andrew is having a lot of problems with that. The current new SO building that we have is that there are no sidewalks that lead to it. It's not safe for him to get to it. There's nothing on that whole entire corner, but that also leads me to the new one. There's not sidewalk, there's a sidewalk up the side, but accessible wise, it's kind of, it comes to the, there's so many different disabilities, right? So we have to talk about the Braille and how you get in. I'm not a Braille reader, so it would be nice to see someone step up and do something above and beyond, but I think it's that most people just do what the minimum standards are.
Yeah.
Also looking at the layout of this new SO, so there's some problems with the new SO. Andrew's issue is one of them. The other issue is when you actually pull into the accessible spot, if you have a van, you actually have to back in to unload on the side parking. So there are some issues which I haven't sent Dawn a message yet, but that's the thing about this. So we're down to one accessible spot, and it looks like by the lines on it that are angled that it's actually a van unloading spot. Is that correct? Because I was trying to find pictures of the new SO, but I can't seem to find it while I'm checking this out. It is angled, which to me, Brenda, would that mean that it is on a, like it's a grade, right? Did we lose Brenda?
Oh, maybe.
Sorry, no, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to review so the hatched red area, is that what you're referring to, Christine?
No, so right beside the like where it says like the accessible spot.
Yes.
On the plan. So it's got the little sidewalk beside it, right? So is that the angle? Is that where they're painting lines, or is that supposed to be the walkway? And how do you get up onto the brown section?
So the space adjacent to the accessible parking space is for loading. Yeah. That's what you're looking at, Christina?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, yeah.
Okay, so loading means it's just a large space for a truck to unload. So it's adjacent to the accessible parking space. The hatched area surrounding the store would be the sidewalk, and then the ramp from the accessible space, you can see it's kind of cut out of the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So if I pull in a wheelchair accessible van and I open up my passenger side door, how is that person getting out?
Yeah, because it also depends on what side the the doors are that
right.
are.
So if I have a side load van and I pull straight in order to unload on the passenger side is a truck loading zone, and if I back in, there's a vehicle on the other side.
So it's a useless spot basically for a disabled person.
So if I pull my van all the way in, and I can't unload that person in a wheelchair, but if I pull my van all the way in, I've now blocked my own spot to get in.
That appears to be correct, Christina.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those matters will be addressed with Dawn Tedford and then passed along to the developer of the property. You're right.
Because it's also the current problem with the SO right now. If you pull into off to the if you're looking at SO off to the left-hand side, there is an accessible spot, and it pulls in right beside a grassy area, correct?
I don't have that site plan in front of me right now, but you're probably correct.
Yeah, so one of those spots now has to become, the one beside the accessible one either has to become an unloading zone, and that ramp has to move.
Yes, to the edge of the sidewalk would probably be the best location for it, I guess. But even that, with a loading space there, you don't really want a truck.
That's right.
And then,
yeah, there may be a safety issue there as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, these items will be addressed with our chief building official, Dawn Tedford, and with the developer. At least we can correct this one, Christina.
Yeah,
It's a
for
little
sure.
difficult to do the SO right now because it's already
know.
built, but
I know.
it's the same developer. So I'm hopeful that perhaps maybe these items can be addressed somehow.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Brenda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It would be good to be able to mandate that any developer has somebody on staff who actually has a disability to help the developer understand. Because if you don't have a disability, or if you don't work or live with people who have a disability, you have no clue what the needs are, right?
That's why they have us, Claudia.
But if you look at the gas station that Christina just talked about, where were we when they built that one?
Well, the committee did review that one, and we took feedback back to the developer, but I guess it's always hard to see on paper versus when you see it physically. But hearing from the committee is always helpful, and it is kind of funny that items such as the gas bar aren't even required to go through an accessibility committee.
Oh.
But we're thankful that the committee is here so that we do have an opportunity. We can bring that information forward to the developers because, Claudia, you're right. A lot of them probably don't have members with disabilities on their team.
Yeah, so there is no understanding. And if there's no understanding, there's no action. There's also no compassion because there's just, it's a blank. It doesn't exist in a healthy person's mind, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
I do see Dwight with his hand up again.
Okay.
Catherine?
Sorry, Dwight. I keep missing you there.
Madam Chair, unfortunately, I had to leave this meeting to go into another one.
Okay.
So,
Okay, great to see you again, Dwight.
yeah, nice to see everybody.
Happy New Year.
Take care. Thanks, Dwight. Okay, so Brenda, you've got lots to take back, obviously, from our input. And I guess the next step we talked about was a resolution.
Sorry, Catherine, before you continue with that, I do see that Stephanie Stewart, who's our community transportation manager, and she's going to speak to the next one, but I think she has some, perhaps some information for this discussion as well.
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just thought I would add an idea for the washroom conversation. Perhaps going gender neutral could be the solution for individuals so they don't have to navigate if a washroom is male or female.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. That's great. Great idea. Thank you. Thanks for that input, Stephanie. So I guess we have to move forward then, Heather, with a resolution, or Tara?
Yeah, so I think Tara's got just a general resolution noting, and the minutes will reflect the discussion that we've had today and the suggestions coming from the committee on both site plans. So the resolution would just be to support both site plans in principle, noting that the comments will be moving back to the respective parties for their consideration.
Okay.
So you'll just be looking, Madam Chair, for a mover and a seconder, and then we'll vote on it afterwards.
Okay. Not sure. Christina's coming back. I guess she will be. Well, I'll certainly move it.
Actually, the chair.
Oh, I can't. That's right.
No.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I always get that mixed up between motions and resolutions. Not my first time.
All right.
Maybe Christina, are you able to move that? Are you able to move it? Okay, thank you. And can I have a seconder?
I'll second it. It's Andy.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll say that that motion is carried by members. Yes.
Carried by members.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is reports. The proposed update to the multi-year accessibility plan.
And so, Madam Chair, for the process for this one, normally we have the resolution on the floor so that then Kathy and Stephanie can present that report. So you'll be looking for a mover and a seconder to put the motion on the floor.
Okay. So can I have a mover?
I see Claudia's hand up.
Okay, thanks, Claudia. And a seconder.
Sure, if you need one.
Oh, yes, thanks, Christina. Okay. So
Okay.
Kathy?
So Grey County Council continues to identify rural transportation as a strategic priority. And the objective is to implement a long-term strategy to coordinate rural transit within Grey County. So this has been ongoing for a few years, and through provincial funding, the county embarked on a conventional transit pilot. So now that there is conventional transit being provided by the county, there's some accessibility legislative requirements, and one of them is to update the multi-year accessibility plan to include a plan for conventional transit. So that's what this report is showing, and I hope it was okay for people to go through it and see what we're proposing to change. The plan is a living document, and right now we're just focusing on the addition of the conventional transit piece. And our manager of community transportation is Stephanie Stewart, and she will speak for a minute about the process so far and how we got to where we're at.
Wonderful, thank you, Kathy. So as many of you know, Grey County's new conventional transit system is known as the GTR, which stands for the Grey Transit Route. We began operating in September and have continued to run throughout the entire pandemic. Grey County is working with a local transportation provider known as Driver Seat and working with home and community support services to deliver our transit system. At this time, the GTR buses can accommodate most accessibility requests. However, if an individual requires a lift or a ramp to get onto the bus, we are partnered with HCSS, so Home and Community Support Services, to offer a parallel transportation service. We do ask that people who would like to book an accessible ride call at least 2 days in advance at this time, just so that we can get to know the unique needs of the rider, understand the size of their wheelchair, so that way we can send the appropriate vehicle for their needs. As time goes on, the hope is that, and once we get to know that individual better, we'll be able to reduce that call-in time to a much shorter amount, so that way the advance booking can be reduced. The GTR has established, as I said, a relationship with HCSS, and we're working to streamline the process with them. So what that means is when a resident calls the GTR, not only do we ask them about what their needs are, but we also inform them of the other specialized transit options in our area. And when we chat with them, we're able to complete any intake forms and send those directly to Home and Community Support Services, so that it's one less step for the individual and they're not having to call a whole bunch of people to figure out where the services are and how they can get to their end destination. Some people may find a conventional transit system awesome, and depending on their needs, it could be challenging for them in the winter months, but completely safe and accessible for them in the summer months. So what I mean by that is some people may have a hard time navigating the sidewalks in the winter because of the additional snow. So they may prefer using specialized transit in the winter months, but in the more pleasant months, they're able to navigate the sidewalks and arrive at our stop and get off at the other stops. So we are still a very rural transportation system, and that comes with its unique challenges because not all of our stops are in easy places to navigate. Some of them I can think about are along Highway 26 or Highway 10, and for individuals with or without a disability, you may need to get there by a car to arrive at that stop.
A silly accessible plan.
So the GTR is currently in a 3-year pilot, as Grey County and the municipality of Southgate have received funding from the provincial government until 2023. So our plan for the future for the GTR is to remain flexible and nimble as we respond to the ever-changing world. And it's our goal to one day eliminate the need to have a parallel service and just have one single bus that operates as fully accessible transit system. Back to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, so I don't have anything further to add. Does anybody have any questions about our proposed addition of the accessibility plan for conventional transit to the multi-year plan?
I have no concerns, Kathy.
I have a quick comment, which could, I guess, turn into a question, but you know, like, I hope that we're not too quick to judge on right now, like what actual traffic is. Cause I know Natalie would totally be using this right now if it weren't for COVID. Like right now she's hiding away in her tiny little apartment in Toronto, and we're not going there, and she's not coming here. And I think that this is a super fantastic idea, especially we did get rid of our van because it was too hard on it just sitting in the driveway. We did buy a truck, but we love that this option became available. It's just that we're not supporting it right now because of COVID, or like otherwise would probably be using it for her to come home and visit. It just can't happen right now. So there are people interested. It's just not happening.
Yes, and to that point, we know, and we're really hoping that once COVID calms down or vaccines come in place, or whoever knows what the future looks like, that we'll have a much better representation of what the true ridership is.
Yeah.
And many agencies like ourselves that receive funding from the province are actually advocating back to the province to say, can you help extend our pilot, because we didn't get an accurate representation of how good this could have been, because COVID has kept a lot of people away. Something I forgot to mention also that is unique as well. So if an individual does require an accessible ride, the accessible vehicle is able to accommodate who are not in a wheelchair, so ambulatory passengers and passengers in wheelchairs or scooters. So everybody can travel together in the same vehicle. And that's also something that I want to highlight, because some of our specialized transit agencies aren't able to take people under the age of 18, and we can do that. So if a grandma or a mom or whoever or dad is in a wheelchair or in a scooter and would like to bring their grandchild or their child with them, we're able to accommodate all of those people on one bus so that they can travel together.
So what we should be basically advocating for is that all public transportation gets changed to completely being accessible. I think that would be in the long run the right thing to do, not to have two more systems at all anymore.
Yes, you are 100% right, Claudia. That is our goal and what we will be working towards.
Province-wide, I would think.
Yeah, exactly.
Worldwide, basically, yeah.
So Stephanie, did I understand you correctly that the funding that you're receiving right now is only until 2021 or 2022?
23, I think she said.
Yes, March 2023.
23, okay.
So yeah, hopefully by then the COVID crisis is over and you can actually have at least 1 year of data to provide what would happen under normal circumstances.
Yeah.
Because they could easily pull the funding because there's a lack of ridership. You know how the provinces run right now, so yeah.
Yeah, fortunately, transportation is considered an essential service, so we are able to continue running throughout this pandemic. And to be honest, we have done very well, and we've seen our ridership has steadily increased month over month. We obviously saw a dip in the ridership during the lockdown over the holidays, and right now with the stay-at-home order, that's not helping with our ridership either. But it's important for everybody to stay home and stay safe, because that's the right thing to do right now. So we're hopeful that once the stay-at-home order is lifted, that we'll be able to see more people riding our buses again.
I really like the way the schedule was laid out. I have a copy of it here, but yeah, and it's legible. It's not confusing. It's really well done.
Thank you.
It's a bit of a trick because there's a lot of legislation, and to have it not be really you know, overwhelming. It was a bit of a trek to get that. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no doubt. Okay. Well, thank you, Stephanie, again. Greatly appreciate your time. So Brenda, or Heather, sorry, we moved and seconded the resolution to open it up.
Yes.
Okay, so the next
So now
step.
you'll just need to call for the vote on the motion.
Okay. So I'm going to call for the vote on the motion. Everyone in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So that looks like it was carried by all members.
Perfect. Thank you. Not being able to see.
No, that's okay.
Thanks, Heather, being my right hand there. Okay, so the motion's carried. Yay. And thank you too for all of the work Kathy and the team has done on updating the multi-year accessibility plan. I know it's not an easy task. I did take a look at the original one and compared it to the changes, and I was completely fine with those changes as well. Yeah. So I guess the next item, I guess, do we, yeah, other business. AODA desk audits, Melissa.
Yeah, so I didn't know that AODA desk audits were a thing until recently. So
I didn't know it either.
What does that even mean?
Well, so we got an email that said from the Accessibility Directorate of Ontario, I think it came from.
Yep.
And they said basically, you know, we're looking to do an audit of your policies and your procedures that you have in place at the town of Hanover, and they had a whole checklist of items that they were looking for. So we had to respond by providing our documentation and, you know, specific sections or page numbers where they could locate the different information. It included our accessibility plans, like everything we had, you know, even our like our hiring policies, training policies, all kinds of things. So I hadn't heard of it before, but I was just wondering if anyone else had experienced this. Is it a regular thing that happens?
That's a good question, because I hadn't heard of it either, and I'm just wondering, is it because they made it more specific to public as opposed to private or municipal?
This one was targeted specifically towards municipalities, and so it was resulting actually from our 2019 compliance report.
Okay.
So I found it a little funny that we didn't hear from them until the end of 2020, but because we had done quite a bit of work actually in between. But just Monday this week, we got some news back that they had closed our file and they were happy with all of our policies and procedures documentation. That was a pretty good feeling. I know we still have some updates to make, but the foundation for a good program is there, and we're just going to keep building on it. So,
Sarah, have you had to go through the same exercise at the town of Blue Mountains?
So that's what I was going to say. No, did not come across. However, I'm part of the ONAP group, the Ontario Network of Accessible, I don't know what the acronym exactly stands for, but accessibility coordinators for municipalities. And I saw a lot of that question went out, and quite a few municipalities responded that they got that request. So I don't know if it was everyone. Maybe I need to look into whether we got that, and I need to follow up, but I hadn't heard of it before. So.
Yeah, it's almost like it was a kind of maybe a little hidden thing, and until, you know, they realized, wow, we haven't really looked for compliance on that. I don't know. Yes, Kathy.
So my take on it, because I did see a lot of emails flying in from the ONAP group too. Did you get audited? We got audited. And it looks like it was fairly hit and miss, because I thought, what if we got an email and I just didn't get it and it's somewhere in my junk? But I confirmed that we weren't on the list, and yeah, so a lot were, but a lot weren't.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the MOL blitzes that they do, and it's a random audit that they do as well. So it kind of likened it to that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wondered about that as well, that Ministry of Labor. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Well, it looks like, Melissa, you obviously had to do some work, and you know, you were successful in completing it, but wow, you know, kind of last minute, being aware that you had to even do it.
Yeah, and they don't give you a huge timeline to respond, so but I mean, it was in the end, it was a pretty simple process through COVID and things. Literally, I was able to email like a zip file of all of our policies and procedures and just detail which sections and things applied, and yeah, it seemed to have gone well. So if anybody has that happen, that's a process they seem to like.
We'll tell them to come to you for the expertise on it now. And you know, just speaking of you know, the whole thing around the AODA, I noticed too that the accessibility compliance report, they've extended that until June 20th of 21. So due to COVID.
Was that for private? So I think
it is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it's private. Businesses, not for profit. Oh no, I believe, well, I
didn't think public had to do one this year.
At the end of 2021, I thought, for website accessibility, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that website accessibility, Heather or Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the beginning of 2021. That was January 1st, wasn't it?
We needed to be compliant with that January.
Yeah, but we didn't have to submit a report.
No, the report will be the end of 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a task keeping on top of the compliance dates too, isn't it? Just being aware of all of that. Okay, is there any other business that was not on the agenda? No? Okay. So the next item is next meeting dates. I guess we really haven't got Kathy, a schedule. I guess it's
yeah, no, I think what we've been doing is, as our municipal partners or Grey County comes up with something that needs to come to committee, then we schedule a meeting and get it together.
Okay, but ideally, are we bound to have X number of meetings per year, or?
Our terms of reference do indicate that, but we haven't been, just because of COVID and what happened with COVID. Yeah. So I think we would be excused.
Yeah, I do too. I think we'd be exempt from that.
Can we look into it to make sure, or?
No, I'm going to go on ask forgiveness if I need to.
Yep.
Okay.
We say that a lot around here too. Yeah.
I know the committee's been close to, I think there's to be held quarterly. So I think they've been within a month or two of that. So it's been pretty close.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Tara. Okay, I guess we can adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Can somebody move it? Claudia? And yep. Andrew, are you seconding it? Andrew?
Yes.
You're seconding the motion? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're adjourned.
Catherine, that was great.
Thanks, everybody.
And good to see everybody.
Well
I guess
done.
you have to put up with me for another year.
That's okay.
I gotta run, I'm sorry. Take care, everybody. Happy New Year.
Claudia. Take care,
Bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.